All right, folks, we are live. Welcome on back here this Friday afternoon to close things out here for the week, March 19th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. I must start by saying we are live because we were not live yesterday for all of us on social media. I apologize for that. Great to see everybody. Let's get a quick sound check just to begin. Make sure everyone can hear me loud and clear. Great to see all of us live inside our room, of course. You got Chuck, Will, I Am. You have Kath, you have Ken, you have Kevin, you got the case right there. Ron, Randy, Gary, Sharon, great to see you all. Ken ended up just picking up 25 cents on the Hall of Fame trade. He was in from $3.99. And Will just picked up 16 cents. He was in from 401. Very nice. So, hey, heading into this afternoon, it's on our screen. So we were going to start with this. But with the way this is moving heading into this afternoon, we can only hope that this will continue. But it's very strong for this time of the day. So for right now, easy enough. Just we're going to put this Hall of Fame stock, HOFV, on our watch list for the afternoon. This is not a stock that we've just, hit once and now is it. This is not just like a one-off stock and that's it. We've traded this just over the last few months. Not more, it was more off than on, but we were familiar with this trade. Ended up making essentially a pump and dump type move from, big gap up in pre-market this morning here. Broke out from 3, ran all the way up towards just about 7 and came crashing back down within the same day. Well, look what happened to the stock the following days after. So is this a swing trade? No. So, right now for the afternoon, we'll see where it takes us before the market closes, or perhaps even maybe it could be an after hours play. We'll see, if it holds that strong by the time it hits 4 o'clock Eastern. But yeah, for right now, HOFV we'll put on our list in hopes of seeing this make a higher low and perhaps seeing it continue later on. Right now, and I thought from before too, although it doesn't reflect too much on the volume bars, but I thought at $4.20, we ended up seeing a very big order on the ask. And as of now, at 425, there seems to be about like a 25,000 or so share order on the S there too. So yeah, we'll keep this on our list or put it on our list. Definitely be near the top by the end of it all. Let me actually load up Bookmap, as we would nickname level 4, because I want to be right with that. So you could see the order on the ask at 425 currently. It's like 31,000 shares total. Let's see here, just a moment ago. Yeah, at 420, that's right. There was a 178,000 share iceberg on the ask. I can't pull level 3 or level 4 up, so to say, on this screen, but for all of us live inside our trading room, I'll copy and paste that as soon as we're done with this meeting. All right, so yeah, we'll go from top to bottom now at this point. We just wanted to start with this trade since it was on the screen. The SPY's trying to squeeze up heading into the afternoon. Still down just a little bit, but it's been pretty flat, though, otherwise. Moving up, at least from the late morning, then ended up just kind of topping off and flattening out, at least for the last couple of hours. And heading into this meeting, starting to make another squeak back up. You could see there. So what we'll do is go from top to bottom, folks, see if there's anything else that will kind of add along with this Hall of Fame trade. For anything else that we ended up trading, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't begin otherwise by talking about the CLVS stock. Obviously, we'll cover that here right now. So actually, number 1 is a warrant. I know that already. We're going to skip over that to begin. Hall of Fame number 2. Clovis, number 3. This was a hell of a pop. So we are also really familiar with this trade too, actually more on than off, vice versa to the Hall of Fame stock. We've traded this stock very frequently over the last few months, at least since 2021 started. But really, if I'm not mistaken, it was like earnings before this whole run even started that we started to follow this stock off of. It was probably just going into late December. We ended up seeing it was probably this day where it gapped up in the pre-market, dumped off. I thought they reported good earnings at the time, if I'm not mistaken. But if you folks recall, for all of us live inside our trading room at least, this stock, it wasn't like one of the bigger pops at the time, but it ended up running with GameStop, with AMC, with BlackBerry, Bed Bath Beyond, Genius. This was a highly shorted stock. The short interest was very high on this trade going back into the end of last year. So I think it was earnings. And if it wasn't earnings there, I apologize, actually, since I'm remembering right now. Trying to do without looking at Benzinga Pro, but I think it was actually like phase 2 or phase 3 primary endpoint news. And at the time, I was like, well, why the hell is the stock dropping off after the market opens off such good news? We would normally see like a really big run up after. Well, we ended up seeing the run up like the following 2-3 weeks after, once it broke out of that consolidation. But man, just from seeing that type of run up going back into this year, it leads you to think, well, off of more news, why can't we see a similar run? Why can't we see a sharp intraday run up on this stock? So once the market opened up for the Clovis trade, it took a bit. A couple of false breaks, I should say, but once this ended up clearing above resistance at the time off of 7, that's what led to this run. So at first it popped up to 7, held it perfect, broke over 7 the first attempt. I would have expected a false break here at least, but it ended up providing a second false break before it ended up really popping and running from there. So, that's where I say right place, wrong time. You do not want to try and hold on to a stock as it's making those false breaks. I know you look at this trade and say, well, if I did here, I would have worked out. Yeah, we'll see what happens on the next one. It's just to say I would have no problem at all taking a 4, a 3, a 5, a 7-cent loss on a trade like this to only re-enter and then get the run I would have looked for the first time. Like, there's no harm, no shame in doing that. Actually, that's the right thing to do. So it ended up building back up to 7, and the rest is history pretty much. Ended up making a huge squeeze at least up towards just about 850, and then ended up making a second win type of move back up to break higher. But since it's been pretty flat, and in fact now dropping off quite a bit. So, it still has good range, just up and down. It's still shortable for all of us on TradeStation, so that would be a good opportunity. Again, I say that, it's already started to crap out a bit. So, given the volume traded across this whole day today, 288 million shares, this is certainly the type of stock I would say is pretty exhausted. So I want to come back to it. I don't want to write it off completely just yet. We'll kind of just jump back to this at the very end of our meeting here. All right, a big dud from this morning. Actually, a couple of them. One, I guess, made a small little move, but this SPCB, oh my goodness, what a bust this was once the market opened up. So it was great in pre-market, did very nicely off the breakout. I was looking for a pullback right away, and it was really holding strong off its highs heading into 9 o'clock in the market open. But obviously, as you could see, it failed to break higher, and with that, at least at the time, there's only one other way the stock is going to go, and it just never really ended up making like a nice move back up, never really showed more momentum to the upside. So I mean, don't get me wrong. Is it possible it makes that small little pop-up in the final hour? Yeah, but if you held your breath from the open waiting for that, better have good lungs. The ZKIN trade, we had a question from one of our members, Neil, I should say, on YouTube, asking about thoughts on ZKIN. So I would say this, as I had said before, the CLVS stock, they're not related in terms of news, but in terms of the news that came out, the pump from this morning and ended up making a second run up, this stock is dropping off even sharper, actually. It wouldn't shock me to see this dump back down completely. If it's not by the end of the day today, then it would be by like early next week. Again, just look at the daily chart for that. This is a blockchain or Bitcoin related stock, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know to what extent, like I do know with Riot and Mara and all of those others, but ended up making a big pop going back into late Feb or mid to late Feb, and then dumped right back down the next day. So again, all of these stocks that we've put on our watch list, the ZKIN trade that Fausto, certainly featured from pre-market into the market open. For all of us inside our trading room, you folks know this. I'm just saying to anyone generally listening to this meeting for free on social media, these are not swing trades, folks. Do not look to take a recommendation that we called out with the hope of it moving up later on today if it's only failing to break out higher heading into the late morning, early afternoon, because, this is just a prototypical result of what happens. So we're going to see the same with this like we saw in CLVS, the same with this as we'll see, I'm sure, on a couple of other stocks coming up. This was the other one, the SNES, like a couple of cheapies that were looking good in pre-market that were just complete duds. Honestly, this made the small little move up here, but then snapped back down. Just, again, I was really excited to trade the SPCB. I was really excited to trade the SNES after the open, at least one of them. Unfortunately, neither gave me a good opportunity. The MRKR from earlier, I saw it make a nice pop. Got one of us on YouTube asking about the CLVS trade, probably just joining a tad late there. We covered that trade already, at least right off the top this meeting. That was our best trade by far from earlier today. The Super League stock, SLGG esports gaming stock, ended up making another breakout today. This has been treating us very nicely day over day. We wouldn't expect that as much, but at the same time, though, hey, between this, the AESE trade, the two esports stocks, I know there was one other. I think Greg brought it up earlier, the Gamble GMBL stock. This one's just not trading much liquidity at all in the order book, so we're not calling this out. But keep a good eye on both the AESE trade and alongside that, the hold on. I'm sorry, I got distracted there. All right, yeah, the AESE trade and then the SLGG stock as well. Alrighty, so here, sorry about that, folks. Jump back to Flux, nope, FSR. Ooh, I saw the warrants. Where's the regular one? I know Fausto put that on the watch list this morning with good reason. I didn't even look at that after the open. Just I was too caught up between the CLVS and then all of those others that we ended up trading. Oof, this one ended up taking a big nosedive after the open. So, at least this stock is shortable, although off the pop and pre-market, we certainly would have wanted a continued move up later on. So it just goes to say, at least after the open, should this break support dump off, then it could provide good opportunity. I don't know if anyone from our room ended up catching this on the way down. If you did, let me know. I'd be really interested. Seemed like it made a nice drop off after the open, essentially from like 2150 down to like 2025-ish, 2030-ish. So for what it's worth, it's a good side list stock. Keep it in mind next week. I wouldn't really think much of it for the final hour here today. All right, damn, we got a bunch more on the gainer side here, folks. I mean, it's not just the market entirely that we're focused on that's like kind of squeaking back up, but a lot of familiar names here otherwise, like Laser. I failed to mention this from earlier today. Ended up making a beautiful trend from this morning. It still is tradable, but it's pulling back down now at this point. It's the type of stock that I would say if you did really well on this trade from earlier today. I know there were a couple of us that did pretty nicely, throughout the late morning, early afternoon. Then at that point, put it on your personal watch list for the close. The VUZI trade, I think this is holding closer to its highs at least. A bit of a spread, but this one hasn't dumped off as sharp as that last one so far. So, in hopes of seeing this push up higher into the close, I'll put VUZI on our list for that reason. But again, I'd be careful on both, at least at this point, given just how far both had run up. All right. What else we got here? Givo, good timing on this, rather, I should say. It's squeaking right back up to the highs itself. Ended up making like a sneaky, steady move up throughout the late morning, early parts of the afternoon as it broke out over 920, moved up to a high off 960 and has held there since, perhaps up until right now. Let's see. Let's take a couple seconds on this trade to see if it ends up making the big breakout. 960, really strong top. Not much of an iceberg, like 12K. There could be more that's listed through a different ECN or exchange. Let's just use a couple more seconds here. I don't want to watch the grass grow if it's not going to do anything. Come on. Let us get good timing here on this pop. Watch, the second I turn away, this thing's going to make a huge breakout. Come on. Nah, I'm not going to waste my time trying to watch. Though, the second I turn away, it's going to make a pop, or the minute I turn away from this. We'll come back to it just to check in. But definitely, we're going to keep this on, put this on our watch list, just easy enough, moving up nicely up to that resistance level. A couple other familiar names, at least, or stocks that we've called out, at least in the past. CRDF, known runner, SM, energy stock. We ended up putting this on our list yesterday as a short. So, you know what? Let's just jump to this pretty quickly. We ended up doing well on this trade from 2:30 Eastern heading into the afternoon. So ended up making a lower high off the 17 level, a false breakout back above that price, but then came right back down and closed pretty much right off the low. So ended up making a nice, move back up. But yeah, for right now, SM, I'd say good side list stock. I think the reason why I'm not going to put this on our main list is just trading kind of light volume this time of the day, about 4,000 or 5,000 shares, just about. All right. Any other familiars out there? Any other known names? Got Kirk, which actually is a known name, but it's a $31 stock now. Jeez. I remember trading this going back into the pandemic last year. Ended up making this crazy run at the time as the markets were recovering, but this was taking off out of nowhere. It was over the summer, as you could see, but broke out from $2 all the way up to $13. And since, man, you take your eyes off this stock for quite a bit and just look at it now. It's like triple price, or a little less than triple the price, but man, that thing just keeps going. All right, let's hop over to losers list, folks. If there's anything looking just as good, if not better, then type it in the chat board. At least let me know now. I'll jump back to it in a moment. the IDRA trade. We'll talk about this briefly. I'm not going to hold my breath hoping for a squeeze up here. It's down enough to where you'd hope for that squeeze, but at least from the morning, if you tried, it's been taking its sweet time to try and make that pop, at least up until now. So yeah, the IDRA trade, I forgot the news on this, but obviously bad news. I'm sure it's a pharma stock that ended up, failing to meet like primary endpoint on some sort of like phase 2 or 3 news or whatever. Ended up making this huge gap down and drop off in the pre-market. We said this before in pre-market too, going into the open. The stock is still shortable, and it was from the morning. So, with it down as much as it was and is, I was looking more for the squeeze. I ended up taking like it was a penny loss on 4,000 shares from 2. And then I ended up getting in from 185. I ended up running it up. It was just about like a 5 or 6 cent catch. I'm not in this trade now. I got out a long time ago. It ended up dropping back down around here. I got out at 190 or 191 rather. I was hoping for a much sharper pop-up. Obviously, it hasn't happened until now. And even with this, I don't really want to try and just throw this on our list just because. I'd really hope to see this make the pop, but hope is a powerful word. So I guess we'll keep it on our sideline for right now, our side list, rather, I should say. And I guess if there's anything else, folks, type it in the chat board now, and, just circle around. Maybe I'll just jump back to this at the tail end, but QD, not a whole lot to write home about there. And Ken says a great short now on Laser. He's one of our traders that did really well on this stock from before. So, Ken, where are you short from? I would assume that you are short right now. So what's your price right now on this trade? Wouldn't shock me if it was from like a 30.60-ish or 30.65. Will calling out the Neo trade. Ken says, I'm not in. He was just cleaning up long before. Oh, there we go, Ken. All right, just commenting on the downtrend there. Yeah, it seems like it's been on a nice downtrend as a nice short opportunity. Neo at the highs heading into the afternoon, not up a whole lot percent-wise, so I didn't catch it from the gainer side. But, good side list stock. I wouldn't be surprised if I call this out later on as it makes a potential breakout. That would be the only reason I would call it out. That would be the only reason why you would want to watch this stock heading into the close. So if you're in this trade now, then, hey, looking good. Personally, I'm sure I could find a bunch of stocks that look like this, that are near the highs, that are moving perhaps with the market heading into the afternoon. So that's where I catch myself trying not to put 30 stocks on our watch list heading into the close. If you did well on that Neo trade, Will, or if you're in it right now, then definitely watch it heading into the afternoon. That's where I say, hey, AAL is moving up. Let's check out NCLH. Oh, that's at the highs right now too. You know what I mean? I could put all of those stocks on the list if that's the case. So it's a good call. And again, if you do well on Neo consistently week over week, then, hey, you put it on your list. Give it a shot. All right. Well, I'll tell you, it says Friday as Friday gets, because although we did really well from earlier today, and although we had a couple of really nice moves, we only have 3 stocks on our main watch list at this point still. So, certainly not the type of afternoon where we don't have a lot so far, but I want to see if from Benzinga's side, if there's anything else that's making a move heading into this afternoon. The MRKR is getting a little pop right now. So pop up on my radar here. So that was one that we kind of brushed off, right? It was doing jack up until this pop here. So yeah, for the meantime, we'll add the MRKR to our watch list. I'm just ripping right from the Benzinga signals page here, folks. So, all these stocks I'm going to type in here, not all of them are going to be good. So, this one's just squeaking up just a tiny bit. We're not going to watch this. You got ENOB. It's no volume traded on this just yet. So, just popped up on my radar, but it's just ugly chart. Now that MRKR, though, will give a chance. MITO, a little squeeze up right now. It's also pretty light volume this time of the day. Just barely cracking over the 500,000 mark right now, heading into 3 o'clock Eastern. All right, I'll put this on our list because we don't have a whole lot otherwise to put on our list. So, if this ends up dudding back down, if we see the volume crap out, then just move on from the stock because you don't want to get caught in a pump and dump type play. But for right now, off this, move up, I'll put it on our list. It has tight spreads. I like that part. All right, we'll check out the 2 I put on the side at the end here. The IDRA, it's moving a little bit more from 2 right now. The last 3 minutes, it's squeaked up from 2 to $2.03. So you know what? We'll put it on our list here now with hopes of it making a dead cat bounce. If it doesn't, don't try and hold your breath waiting for it, like I said. And then CLVS. I mean, again, CLVS from this morning ended up making such a big move up, ended up making a second move up higher, but has since dropped off. So trading like 300 million shares at this point, just about. It's a lot. So I think this stock's pretty exhausted. Is it possible to catch a 20, 30 cent scalp? Maybe even more? Perhaps. Probably like 20 cent. But again, like that's where I'd say, like I'd rather catch the bigger move from this morning compared to the choppier, tighter range move that this is making now. So, I think this ship is gone and sailed, and we'll check in with it probably next week. Like all of next week, we'll be back on the CLVS grind, at least to see what it's doing each and every morning. All right, folks. So aside from that, I think that we have just about 6 stocks to work with so far heading into this close. If there's anything else that we'll look to, or if there's anything else that pops or drops, we'll look to call it out. Work together as a team heading into this end of week. All right, for all of us on social media, thank you for sticking with me here. I hope that you enjoy the weekend ahead. If you're interested in learning more, make sure that you first like, subscribe, notify right on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/cybertradingu. And otherwise, as always, if you have yet to do so, make sure that you join us live inside our trading room. Just go right down to the banner below, sign up, just click on the link that is on the banner, and you'll be able to join us live inside our trading room. All right, so for all of us there, just give me a quick sec. I'll copy and paste the picks. I'll jump back on the mic myself and Rich taking you into the end of the day. Talk to you soon.